certainly we've got one of the best ones, if not the best one, on Fox. Big Noon Saturday, as Gus, Ginny, and I will have the call for the game, Ohio State and Michigan. Now, these picks have been heating up a little bit. I know that I was ice cold, absolute freezer box early in the year, and yet we have come back. In the last 3 weeks, we are 11-3 and now 31-34 on the year as we get all set for this week's games. Okay, here we go. Live in Ann Arbor, Michigan hosts the #1 team in the country, Ohio State, in the game. Now, I think it's important to understand how these two programs have built themselves. Now, this is from an outsider's perspective, but Ohio State has built themselves as a program that can perennially contend for and potentially win national championships, and they were able to do that a year ago. Michigan, on the other hand, since COVID, under Jim Harbaugh, decided to specifically target and build themselves to match up with and beat Ohio State, which they've now done 4 straight times. So that's where we come into this game, is a matchup, a style. These two rosters, what are they good at? Where are their strengths? Where are their weaknesses? And how will that play out in this ball game on Saturday in the Big House? That's always a fascinating aspect of this, because obviously Ohio State, you would say, has the advantage from the skill perspective and the speed perspective. And then, at least in the last 4 years, Michigan has had the advantage in the trenches, and they've been able to be more physical, in particular on the defensive line last year, specifically with Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. Michigan wants a game that's close in the second half so that they can continue to lean into that physical nature. Everything that they're built on and about starts with their physical nature, defensively and offensively, which is why when I talk with anybody in that building, all they talk about is give us a chance, make it a close game in the fourth quarter. And they feel like that toughness will pay off for them in the fourth quarter, which it has by and large in the last 4 years. Now, they didn't kill Ohio State with the run game maybe the last 2 years in the fourth quarter like they did in 21 and 22, but they were good enough, and they got the proper conversions. They got enough conversions with the run game late in order to go get late scores and ultimately win the game. And last year obviously was, let's face it, a pretty shocking result, as Michigan came into that game as 20-point dogs. So candidly, I don't care what the line is in this game. This is a much better version of Michigan than went to Columbus last year and ended up beating the eventual national champions. It would shock me if this game is not close late, which is exactly what Michigan wants. By the way, weather forecast, exactly what Michigan wants as well. 30s, 50% chance of snow. I mean, if you wake up in your Sharon Moore and you see that weather forecast, you're like, yes, please. That's exactly what he would hope for. On the injury front, both programs are dealing with injuries right now. On the Ohio State side, it's Lorenzo Styles, the defensive back, the nickel back. He's questionable. And then obviously the two big ones, the wide receivers, which did not play last week, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Now, I remain optimistic that both of those guys will be on the field. Jeremiah Smith was actually on Caleb Downs' podcast earlier this week and basically alluded to the fact that, I'll be ready to go. I do think Carnell Tate will also be ready to go. I think the question for me more so is about effectiveness rather than availability. These guys will likely play. I remain very optimistic that they will play, but it is about effectiveness because, again, these guys are like sports cars, right? You get a dump truck in there, it doesn't matter if there's a flat tire, a dump truck can still be a dump truck, right? But when you are out on the outside and it's about precision and timing and skill and speed, it's more like a sports car. And one little thing that's wrong with a sports car doesn't allow that car to perform at the top end of its ability. Well, it's the same thing with wide receivers. So the effectiveness of Smith and Tate, I think, will be something that all of us are interested in early in that game and certainly be well aware of. On the Michigan side, it does feel like Jordan Marshall, who hurt his shoulder against Northwestern, I think he's probably going to be on the field. I remain optimistic that he will play. Again, effectiveness rather than availability. I think it's probably a pain tolerance deal with Jordan Marshall. He was so effective. After Justice Haynes, of course, went out. Justice Haynes was probably the best back in the country. Then all of a sudden, Marshall stepped in when Haynes got injured and had to have the foot surgery, and Marshall was outstanding, and that run game seemed to be the vintage Michigan run game. He went down against Northwestern. They were able to run the ball well against Maryland, again, leaning into that offensive line. I think Marshall will be on the field, but I think a bigger question would be Max Bredesen. And I know he doesn't touch the football a lot, but when you're going to try to lean into the physical nature, you've got to have the guy that you would say epitomizes that physical nature, and that's Max Bredesen, number 44. Now, if you watch Michigan at all, which I have intently all year long, you would know that Max Bredesen is about as important a player to their offense as anybody, and he doesn't even touch the ball. It's because of his threat as a blocker. Again, toughness, physicality. The ball generally finds him. Wherever he's going, the ball follows because he's devastating as a blocker. He was in a boot and crutches after the Maryland game, and so his availability is called into question, and his effectiveness is called into question. Now, knowing Max as well as I do, and it's, I think this guy is as tough as they come in college football, and I would be shocked if he doesn't try at least to play. Again, effectiveness over availability. Now, when you get into the actual matchup here, let's start when Michigan has the ball. They're best, and we all know it, when they're able to establish the run and then allow their young quarterback, Bryce Underwood, to throw the football off of the run game. Whether it's him getting outside of the pocket, utilizing those movement throws. They're not as good if you put them into a box where he doesn't have the RPO, he doesn't have the play action, and he just has to sit there as a drop back passer. Plus, that's a matchup that is really tough for a young quarterback because this Ohio State defense disguises their coverage as well as anybody. They also match in coverage as well as anybody, whether it's man or zone. They produce tight windows for the quarterback to throw the ball into. So it's tough to know what defense they're in, and even if you do know what defense they're in, the windows are very tight. So Michigan cannot get into a situation where they're in a drop-back game against this Ohio State team. The pass rush, even though it hasn't been devastated, has been effective, in particular when you get into those positions where the quarterback has to sit there and drop back. We saw that last week against Rutgers with Caden Curry. So them running the football, speaking of Michigan, is paramount in this game, and I think we all know that. Getting to those tight ends, getting the ball out to Andrew Marsh. Patricia will have some disguises cooked up. Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator. That's going to be a great matchup to watch. Then when Ohio State has the ball, here's the key for Ohio State. Be yourself. Last year, I felt like they got sucked into trying to win the toughness battle, and they weren't going to do that against Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. And Michigan was allowed, or they were able, to just sit there in what I would consider to be a very safe pass defense. Two safeties back. They were able to double-team Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Ibuka at times and stop the run with a light run box, where they didn't have to commit resources in order to stop the run. Now, they don't have Grant and Graham anymore. So do they have to commit resources to stop the running game of Ohio State? That's question number one. Question number two is, what type of game plan is Brian Hartline and Ryan Day going to use in this ball game? Because if they're themselves and they attack on the outside, and more specifically down the field and attack those safeties from Michigan, that would be advantage Ohio State. They did not do that a year ago, and they got sucked into this run game where they did not want to throw the football on the outside, and they played too safe. I don't think they're going to do that. They learned the lesson last year. We saw that in the playoff when they came out and turned into the Death Star Supernova that just attacked down the field against Tennessee and against Oregon. So if that lesson bleeds into this version of the game, I think that we'll see Ohio State be a little bit more aggressive. They got Smith on the outside. They got Tate on the outside. They got Max Clare, a great tight end. They need to attack those safeties of the Michigan Wolverines. Going to be a great game. Big Noon Kickoff is going to be live at 9 a.m. Lots of guests, lots of big stars on the 3-hour edition of Big Noon Kickoff. And then Gus, Ginny, and I will have the call of the game at noon on Fox.
Caroline and Mark Melia. parents of Joshua Nichols, Tyler and Jerome Nichols. The parents of Ethan O'Leary, Jill and Jim O'Leary. The parents of Damon Payne, Tamika and Damon Payne Sr. The parents of Max Reyes, Nancy and Carlos Reyes. The mother and stepfather of Jimmy Bowler, Laura and Scott Keeble. The parents of Shamari Stone, Heather Walter and Shamari Stone. The mother and uncle of Evan Sunderland, Jen Sunderland and Brandon Cornblue. The parents of Dan Terrible, Sarah and Mike Terrible. Mother and sister of Greg Tahar, Annette Tahar, and Christina Tahar Kimberlins. The stepmother and father of Joe Taylor, Anju and Adam Taylor. The parents of John Poulter, Lynn and Chuck Poulter. The parents of Davis Warren, Tara and Jeff Warren. The parents of Bryce Wilcox, Paula and Brett Wilcox. The parents of Trey Williams, Merrick Andrews and John Johnson. And the parents of Dominic Zavala, Jody and Janet Zavala. Michigan fans, please join together and honor all of our seniors and their family members with a big house round of applause for all their contributions, efforts, and dedication to the Michigan football program and the university.
connected, changes everything from Michigan Stadium, also known as the Big House. We've got the game for you, folks, as Ohio State comes into town to take on Michigan. And here come the Buckeyes. This is what's at stake today. If Ohio State wins, they head to the Big Ten Championship. If Michigan wins and Oregon loses to Washington, the Wolverines will be heading to Indianapolis. Everybody, I'm Gus Johnson, along with my quarterback, Joel Klatt, and welcome to Ann Arbor, folks. Welcome to the game. Let's start with the visitors, Ohio State, reigning national champions, undefeated, #1 team in the country. Partner, they've got it going on all phases of the game.
That's why I think they just need to be themselves today. You know, this has been the most complete team in America, and if they are just themselves, they're going to be in a great position. And what does that mean? Well, it means let the stars shine like Jeremiah Smith. He will play. We'll see how effective he is with that leg injury. And it means dominating on defense. This is the best defense in America, led by Caleb Downs. You got to let them go eat. And then it comes down to a close game in the fourth quarter, and it's about executing in the fourth. Julian Sayin has been the most efficient quarterback that we've got in college football. He leads the nation in completion percentage, and his ability to play well in a close game late will, I think, determine the game.
As for the Michigan Wolverines, they've had a fine season, only 2 losses on the road, Oklahoma and USC. Like Ohio State, they have a terrific defense. They can run the football, and an 18-year-old quarterback that's getting better and better every moment.
And they've got the blueprint, right? These last 4 victories over the Buckeyes, what does that mean for Michigan? It means that you trust the process. What got those victories? Toughness and physicality. Winning at the line of scrimmage, running the football with a guy like Jordan Marshall, who will be back from a shoulder injury. He will play. He's got 4 straight 100-yard games. You got to limit explosives defensively, in particular that big play offense for Ohio State, and then efficient quarterback play. This young star, Bryce Underwood, if he's efficient and clean with the football, they feel like they'll be close in the fourth quarter. Well, that's the blueprint. When they're close in the fourth quarter, they feel like that toughness and physicality will win out, and they'll win the game.
All right, time now to join the 3rd member of our team on the sideline, the AAG, the All-American girl, Jenny Taft, with Coach Day.
Coach, I know how much this one means to you. You live it every single day. Why will Ohio State win today?
Well, we waited a long time to play this game, and now it's time to go put it on the field. What a great atmosphere. This is what it's all about. We're going to be attacking from the jump on this one.
Good luck. Thank you, Coach. Time now to send it to Tom Rinaldi.
Sharon, your freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood, first time in this game. What do you most need to see from him in the first series or 2?
Just be him. Don't press. Be true to your reads. Be true to yourself, and just have fun.
You said it's not about belief. It's about trust. What do you need this team to trust right now?
Yeah, just trust with each other. Trust the coaching staff, the players, everything they've done to prepare for this moment.
Good luck. Appreciate you, Coach.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Guys.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. This is Big Ten weather, folks. 30 degrees at kickoff time. Feels like it's 22, and it could be windy. In a series that dates back to an 1897 meeting here in Ann Arbor, Michigan leads it 62-52. With 6 ties, Wolverines have won 4 straight after the Buckeyes had won 8 in a row. Ohio State won the toss, deferred. Michigan will receive the football. Jerome Moore. Bryce Underwood. Jaden Fielding will send it away for Ohio State. Andrew Marsh is the deep man. Michigan, Ohio State, here we go. And Marsh. And that will bring out Bryce Underwood, the freshman from Detroit.
#1 recruit in the country, a mountain of expectations, and is coming off his best and most efficient performance of his young career last week against Maryland. He's going against the best defense in the country, and it's also a complicated defense. So I do think it'll be imperative for him today, Gus, to utilize his legs and that athleticism 2, 3, 4 times, scrambling around, trying to move the chains with his feet.
Underwood, 16 of 23, 215 yards passing, 2 touchdowns against Maryland last week. On first down, they hand it off. Marshall, still running. Jordan Marshall, out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Michigan gashing them for 35 on the first play of the game. Let's take a look at the Wolverines on offense.
This is a young offense. They've got 6 freshmen starting in this ballgame, 3 redshirt freshmen up front. I think Jordan Marshall's going to have a big day. He's coming off of that shoulder injury and 4 straight 100-yard games. So we'll see how effective he is. Great run there to begin. And Andrew Marsh on the outside. He's the focal point of the passing game, #4.
First down and 10 at the 39. Underwood to throw. Underneath. He finds his receiver. It's Marshall. He'll dive forward and get inside the 30 defensively for the Buckeyes.
Well, this defense has 4 first-round draft picks right down the middle. It starts up front with Caden McDonald, their nose tackle. He is a big boy up front, number 98. 2 linebackers are the best in the country. Sonny Styles and the potential first pick in the draft, Arvell Reese, and then Caleb Downs in the back end. He's terrific.
First down and 10 at the 29. Marshall now running right, and he'll crash across the line of scrimmage. Sonny Styles with the tackle.
It's a terrific start so far here for Michigan. That first play over off the left side. You know, they feel like, talking with Sharon Moore, that their run game obviously is where they're going to need to lean and establish that early for their young quarterback. Thus, they have to do that on the edge. That outside C gap is right over the tackle and the tight end. That's what they did on the first snap for the big run to Marshall.
Second down and 9. Underwood, quarterback run, and he'll go nowhere. Wrestled down. Kenyatta Jackson Jr. got him. No gain.
Kenyatta Jackson, such a versatile player, plays defensive end. He can play inside. Big third down. They're going to tempo. They'll go a little fast here, trying to catch Ohio State off guard.
Third down and 9 at the 27. Opening series for Michigan. And Ohio State calls a timeout. 12:45 to play first quarter. Michigan moving the ball early. Sponsored by AT&T Business. Connecting changes everything. And by Progressive Insurance. Home and auto coverage you can count on. Time for today's game flow. Sponsored by Progressive Michigan Stadium. Ohio State and the Wolverines battling once again with so much on the line. Michigan, very good opening series. Faced now with a 3rd down and 8 at the Ohio State 27-yard line. Jordan Marshall remains in the game at running back with young Bryce Underwood, 18 years old, at quarterback. Underwood flips it out and incomplete. Marshall the target. That didn't fool the Ohio State defense, and that'll bring on the kicking unit for Michigan.
Lorenzo Styles did a great job. He was banged up and had to leave last week's game against Rutgers with what looked to be a shoulder stinger, and he's back on the field here starting for Ohio State. He was right there. Even if Marshall catches that ball, it likely goes for no gain.
Dominic Zavada comes in on the season. He's 12 of 19 last year. He was a first-team All-America. He struggled a little bit from time to time this year. This one from 45 yards away. He's got a big leg. Got it up. And good. Michigan on the board first. 12:37 to play in the first quarter. Coming up, Ryan Day and his offense after this. Let's take a look at the current Big Ten standings, sponsored by Discover. And don't forget to tune into the Discover Big Ten Championship game, presented by Discover, December 6th on Fox.
Well, how about Indiana, 12-0, big win over Purdue, their rival. Yesterday, they punched their ticket into the Big Ten Championship game. Now, it's pretty simple. Ohio State win, they're in. Oregon's still alive, obviously, with Ohio State loss today to Michigan and a win over Washington for Oregon. And Michigan, of course, still alive as well if the Ducks were to stub their toe in Husky Stadium.
Michigan up 3-0. Now Ohio State will get their opportunity. Sunderland will kick it away. Brandon Ennis is the deep man for the Buckeyes. And Ennis with the fair catch inside the 5. That brings on Julian Sayin. And this kid has been sensational. He is a Heisman contender from Carlsbad, California.
He's got an elite release. It's so quick. He's very accurate with the ball, but the coaches are more impressed with his mind. They say that his mind is faster than his release, which is quite outstanding. Nobody throws it better downfield than Julian Sayin. And I just go back to what Ryan Day told Jenny Taft on the sideline before the game. He said, we're going to attack. That's what they did in the playoff to win the national championship. I would assume with the 2 stars back on the field, Tate and Smith, I think they're going to attack here early in the game. 27 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions for Sayin this year. From the 25, Sayin looks up top, incomplete. Intended for Carnell Tate. Zeke Berry in coverage, and he knocked that ball down. Well, what great coverage by Zeke Berry out there. He's only 5'11", 196, and there's nobody in college football that's been better on deep balls than Carnell Tate. The contested catch, he has excelled at. But Berry did a great job of waiting until that ball got to the hands, and then he reaches up and knocks it away.
Carnell Tate comes into this game with 39 catches for 711 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's been nursing a lower body injury. Out for the last 2, 2nd and 10. At the 25, Sayin again near side. Intercepted! Hill! And Michigan with the first turnover of the game.
He never recognized the coverage. Hill is going to sink off and be underneath the route because he's got help over the top. You see the safety screaming over the top right there. Sayin never saw him. He tries to go back shoulder, but Hill is underneath the route. That is a beautiful defense designed by Wink Martindale. Young quarterback doesn't see it, and a massive turnover for Michigan here early in the game. This place is going crazy. You've got to think that they're going to double team Jeremiah Smith. That's what they were doing. Help over the top, and Hill played it perfectly. He sinks off, he's underneath, he waits for the ball, and it's first down Wolverines.
From the Ohio State 39, Marshall, the pistol back. Underwood wants to run with a lane. Underwood dives and is wrapped up by Igbinosun after he picks up 7.
Now this is the point of the game where if you're Michigan, you got to attack. And I don't mean that you just got to throw the ball down the field, but your best stuff here, runs on the perimeter, get Underwood outside, because you've got to capitalize on turnovers, in particular on the plus side of the 50. This is a massive point in the game here, trying to take a 2-possession lead.
2nd down and 3 at the 32. Marshall with a hole. Marshall, a burst. Marshall cuts it inside, down at the Ohio State 10. A gain of 22 yards, and already the Michigan offensive line moving people.
That's right, and what you're always going to get with Michigan is pullers. You've got Jake Guanera, the guard, he pulls over. Beautiful block by Jalen Hoffman, number 42. And then you've got Marshall, who again has been one of the best backs in the country the second half of the year. Good patience behind those pullers, and he takes it down the field, and Ryan Day cannot be happy about how this game is starting.
1st down and 10 at the 11. Underwood, another quarterback run, stiff-armed, and he'll get out of bounds inside the 10. McClain there to usher him out of play. They give him 2.
You know, this is when you've got to use some misdirection here. You know, this Ohio State defense, let's face it, they're reeling a little bit. And you've got to utilize those successful runs early in the game and try to get Underwood outside of the pocket away from those. Give a nice play fake on the edge, and that's where you can get a tight end slipping into the flat, maybe even across the field from the backside. That's how you can get somebody open.
2nd and 8 at the 9. And they run it straight ahead with Marshall. And I tell you what, this Jordan Marshall is so tough. After Justice went out with the foot injury, he's come in and just been awesome for Michigan. But that right shoulder, it's been banged up.
Yeah, and you can see he's jogging off the field here, holding that arm down. You know, it's a pain tolerance deal. Sprained that shoulder against Northwestern, and now Bryson Cusdall comes in. He got his first start against Maryland last week. 20 carries, 100 yards. They feel confident in Bryson Cusdall.
Walk on, Cusdall. They call him Coos. 3rd down and 6 at the 7. Underwood in the corner, incomplete. Donovan McCulley, the intended receiver. Davison Ipinosin in coverage.